Begin. Okay, Shemiras Shabbos Kol Chasei. We move on to Perek Gimel. Perek Gimel. I know your papers are coming. Don't worry. Perek Gimel is the wonderful malacha of Beirer. And Rosh Zalman over here, the headline. You always have to read the headlines. It says Dinei Beirer b'Shabbos, and you get a star. You get a star even before you start the chapter, which tells you Dinei Beirer b'Yantif is the next Perek. Why do I find it fascinating, this star? Because no, I shouldn't say I find it fascinating. He has this by every chapter. We're on Perek Gimel, page Nun Gimel, is because the Bayer on Yom Tif is a different world, and it's important to keep in mind that whenever Yom Tif comes, you always have the flurry of quick Bayer Shilas that come relevant. So that's Perek Gimel. Yes. Yes, that's what I actually went to look. First I thought it was, then I saw that he said the same thing in each one. There is nuances, but by Bayer, there are many. Before we even begin the Shemiras Shabbos, I want to take one moment to be makdim the words of the Shemiras Shabbos with the words of the Chafetz Chaim. The Chafetz Chaim in Siman Shin Yates, before he begins, gives you a hakdama, which he does at a lot of the larger malachis. We're not going to learn the whole Akdama, especially you don't have the words in front of you, but just to give us a few quick lines that will, I think, set the stage for the Malacha of Bayer. Says the Chafetz Chaim, Hine, if you ever want to look this up, this is Siman Shin Yotes, that's Bayer, the Akdama. Hine Bayer Echem Milametes Avas Malacha Shav Shabbos. It's one of the 39 Malachas. V'chayovin alel. Chayiv in the world of halacha always means iser daraisa. Gam ki in chatas b'shoyei yomisa b'mezei k'mai al shar melachis. Ubavanaseinu arab, says the Chafetz Chaim, due to our many aveiros harbe anoshim nechshalim b'iser bayer. Many people stumble in the world of bayer. Valkein, and therefore I'm going to explain B'ez Hashem all the pratim, and I'm going to give you a short akdama. And the short akdama, the line that I really want to pull out is that he says, Ein chal iser bayer min hatayra ki im be'echad mishloisha ofanim. The iser bayer applies mid'oraisa in the following three cases. That's all I wanted to say. What am I pointing out? Is that when we're about to see in one moment how the Shemiras Shabbos can list the three basic rules, the three basic categories of bayer, the Chafetz Chaim in his Akdama, before he even start the simin, teaches you that this is a daraisa, each condition on its own. Meaning, when you're lacking even one condition, it falls into a deraisa. So what are the conditions? What are we talking about? Let's start the Shemiras Shabbos Kilchasa. Shnei minim hamiravin zebezeh. Two minim, two types that are mixed together. Bein shei min oichel, whether they're types of food. Bein shei min and oichel, whether there are different types of bein shei mine oichel, bein shei einan mine oichel, whether they're food or not. Kegoin mine kelim or begadim, utensils and garments. Ubein shehem min ha'echad hu oichel ve'echad upsailas. One is food and one is refuse. Aser lahavrid min echa mechavero b'derech breira. You're not allowed to separate, lahafrid, to separate one from the other in a mannerism of a breira, of selection. Aval, however, motalasas came b'derech achila. You're allowed to do this. What is this? This act of hafrada, the act of separation, is allowed b'derech achila, quote unquote. That word b'derech achila, that is a very large word. In every single bayra shaila, if you want it to be mutter, it has to be called quote unquote consumption. Now, obviously, it's not real consumption because we just said this applies to clothing, this applies to kalim. But the way that it's a mutter is if it's in the mannerism of eating. What does that mean? Let's continue. L'shem kitzer nikr la'alanis amina ratzoy. Something like clear? Everything. Bayer, as we're going to see, and we could have been mocked in one more word, but yes, sunflower seeds, the shells in your plate, yes, the coats on the cubby, yes, your sedurim when you put them away. The Mishnah Berurah actually in the Hakdama to the whole Chelik Gimel teaches us, is plugged to the Sefer. One of the reasons is that you don't know halacha, and he says v'chein be'iser bayer matzui me'oid li kashel. Now this is the fascinating thing. Why are you matzi ma'oid? Mimnei chesroin yediyah. And then he says derech mashal, when you have a basar of two different types. It's interesting that he calls it a chesarn yediyah. Chesarn yediyah. It's a little bit interesting. What's the chesarn yediyah? What do you not know? What do you not know? Could be what? That's l'chayra what he means. And as you learn Bayra, what always is fascinating is your eyes just start seeing. When you learn Muksa, everything becomes Muksa. You see Bayra, everything becomes a mixture, and everything becomes a Bayra. Let's get there. L'shem kitzer, for the sake of simplicity, nikra l'halonis and min haratzoi. We're going to call the item that you want b'shem eichel. The item you want is the food. Vilu esamina acher is b'shem psailes, is the refuse. L'mashal, for example, egoizim shemravim im shkedim, two different types of nuts. Imrotzim ve'egoizim, you want the egoiz, azai then egoizim nikra b'shem eichel. Then the egoiz is the eichel. You have walnuts and pecans. The walnuts that you want are the eichel. I don't know if egoizim and shkedim. What are they actually? Shkedim almonds and egoizim are. Oh, they actually are walnuts. Walnuts and almonds. Cute. Let's see the opposite. The hainu. Then the shkedim are the eichel. Big day kayitz v'chayre, if you have your summer and winter clothing. Right now, you're putting on your bathing suit for some reason. And the shorts that you're not putting on, that what you want is eichel, that what you don't want is pseilis. He didn't yet tell you how you take it. He just told you that what you want is eichel, that what you don't want is pseilis. Very good. Let's continue. Sif base. Shleisha hey matanayim hakovaim. There are three set conditions. Derech achila mahi. How to define the mannerism of eating, as we said. Anything that is eating is allowed. Anything that is not eating is not allowed. So what is called eating? Anytime you do not fulfill these three conditions, biyachad, together, ein zeh derech achila. It's not called eating. The aser livrar, and we're going to add on, as we saw from the Mishnah Berurah, it's aser daraisa. That is perhaps the most unique detail of the Melacha of Bayrer, is that generally people aren't over daraisas on Shabbos. I know this sounds odd, but generally the mistakes that people make are in, the chalent, are in the blech, are in derabanan tika issues. The case where the guy took his chalent and went and filled it up from the cold water and put the cold water on the stove, we know that that's odd. We know that that's odd. That's a daraisa. It's odd to get daraisas on Shabbos. Now, when we learn baina, we'll realize that in the world of baina, it can actually be very easy to get daraisas, just to keep our minds open. If one of the shelves falls out of a bookcase, classical case, you're that guy, you go to take a siddur Shabbos morning, and Shalom Aleichem, you got the whole thing on your lap. So what does every normal person do right now? They sit the shelf back on. The shelf's on the floor. You take the shelf, you put it up, you pick all the siddur, and you put them on. That is an Isser Daraisa, believe it or not, because putting a shelf into a bookcase, which is larger than 40 sa, is a Daraisa of Baina. But that's a unique case. You don't get Daraisas. However, in the world of Bayrer, everything is a Daraisa. Scary. What are the three conditions? Number one, you need to take the good from the bad, the food from the refuse. To exclude, taking the bad from the good. In our almonds and walnut case, you want the walnuts, but you only have 3 almonds on the plate, so it's annoying. You just want to pick out those 3 almonds. You take out those 3 almonds, you throw them in the garbage, we throw you off a cliff. Isser de Araisa. Okay, you need hasra and whatnot. Briras biyad. Number 2, it has to be done with your hands. With your hands. Yakis, I apologize. You're eating with your hands on Shabbos. Lemayit brira brazis kliyam yod lekach, which comes to exclude a utensil that is specialized for that. So now you're eating your salad and you want to eat a tomato. What do? You pick up the tomato with your hand. The item you want is the eichel. You use your hand and it's mutter. Beautiful. Be'ezras, to exclude doing boirer with a kli miyulekach. I'll be nice. I'll be nice, right? I'll be nice, and I'll say like a sifter. The kasha obviously is, why is a fork not? We'll just speak out something that we're going to see. Says Ramesha Feinstein, it's a graz also l'chayra, that a fork is not helping in the breira. It's not helping in the separation. You could take out that tomato easily with your fingers. Just your fingers get dirty. The fork is an extension, a cleaner way of eating. But yes, like a sifter, like maybe a peeler according to some. But yeah, it happens to be like a what? What's an example? Anyone have other examples of kli yuchel bayir? Anyone? Slotted spoon is a good shayla. Good. What else? No? That maybe it's going to be other sort of schita. I thought we have the coffee chaver in the room. No? Which isn't. Good. Perfect. That was the trivia question. Very good. French press, which we'll get there one day. We'll get there one day. Gimel. Chayodim. Sif Gimel. Tonight Gimel. Breira l'shem shimushi. Is he bringing a kliper? It's a what? I don't know what that is. Breira l'shem shimushi miyad. Tonight number 3 is you have to use it immediately. L'mayid, which excludes breira l'shem shimushi lachazman. Using it after time. So the way we say it is miyad, biyad, and oichel mitoich pseilus. In English, has to be miyad for immediate consumption, biyad with your hand, and oichel mitoich oichel mitoich pseilus. You have to take the good from the bad. Which we could close the book right now, and you know the whole bayr. In every single scenario, that's the general rule. We're going to have many exclusions. But now you want to know, can I take the pits out of my watermelon? So let's see. Are you doing it miyad? Yeah, you're about to eat the watermelon. Are you doing it biyad? Yeah, you're taking it with your hand. But is that oichel mitech pseilus? Absolutely not. The pit is not the food. You have a piece of meat. This is the very clear example that I always love because it shows the difference of one who knows one dot halacha and one who doesn't. You have a large, we'll go cowboy steak, and we're going to enlarge it for illustrative purposes. So you have this massive, large cowboy steak. Okay, here's the bone. Good, stop drooling. Here's the bone, and here's the steak, right? But on top of the steak is this layer of fat. But not like the thin fat that me and you would eat, but your wife wouldn't. You know, one of those big fat geschmacka things, which no one eats that. Maybe someone would, but no one eats that. Okay, good. So now what do? You take your knife and you cut around the fat. Beautiful. Was I just over and buyer? The answer is no, I didn't do anything because after I finished cutting, what do I have? Fat and steak, they're all together. The act of breira, as the Shemiras Shabbos so eloquently said, is the act of hafrada, the act of separation. So now when I cut off my fat, if I go like this, flick it up, that's an issa deraisa breira. I just separated the fat for the steak. Whereas the same cut, and I pull down the meat, then that is not an issa, that is mutter or gummer. No, again. Here's a steak, here's fat on top of it, okay? To cut around, there's nothing wrong because it's still connected. It's still on top of it. I didn't separate the two. I just made them not connected. But now, if I pluck off the fat, it's an issa deraisa. If I move down the meat, it's a mutagomer. Every item, the one that you're taking, is the item we're talking about. I just might have matter peelers, not by mistake. Maybe I said what Ramesha says. Maybe we'll get there eventually. Sif Gimel. Ein mishum iser breyer. Now, cutting now. Let's be fair. Normal people don't cut like I just cut. Normal people, when you cut, you automatically, instinctively flick. So the cut pushes away the fat automatically. But yes, theoretically, if you do what I just did, you could cut around the fat perfectly. But then when you're done, just pull away the meat, and it's perfectly fine. It depends which one you push away. Again, but then if you pick up the meat, it's mutter. Yeah, for the meat, what do you like? It's a machlekes graz mishabur you just said, but I'm not going to answer your question. Yeah. Everyone will have dinner etiquette classes later. Ein mishum iser breira. Now, there's one more detail you need to know in order to finish the hakdama, that there's no iser breira elim came. There are shnei minim uravin zevzeh. You could have two items mixed. Or close to each other. If I have a piece of fat over here, let's say my example I just gave, after I move the meat down 3 inches, so my meat's down here and I have a fat over here, can I now go to my plate, pick up the fat and put it in the garbage? Yeah, because the two are not mixed anymore. Miracle, look at that. Says the Shemiras Shabbos is only bayir when you have a mixture. If you have two items separated, there's no bayir. If each item is standing on its own, there's no issue. We'll finish with Sivkata and Hara Vav, which he quotes Rosh Zalman, who is a mayor from a Gemara in Shabbos, and often a Rashi in Shabbos. The Gemara in Shabbos discusses you have a basket of fruit. And let's say you have a basket of, let's call it apples and oranges. and you want to eat the apples, but there's these 3 annoying oranges in there, and it's just so annoying. So if you take out the oranges, Isser Daraisa. Says Rashi, you know what you do? You take your whole bucket and you flip it over. You're mifazer u'mishateach. You spread them out. Now what just happened? Now you don't have a mixture. What we like to call, you exploded the mixture. If you explode a mixture, there's no Isser Bayer. This is one of the eitzes that they give, and Raiflam, your shver, has gotten many Shalom Bayis calls over this eitzah, is they tell the Chasanim, when you want to set the table, the cutlery is one big pile, no big deal. Just take the whole thing and throw it across the dining room floor, and now it's not a mixture anymore. Yeah. That's exactly what Ramesha says, exactly what Shlomo Zalman says. And now there's always Surveyor. That's definitely true, but I don't know if the Rebbetzin so happy that you just threw the cutlery everywhere. Now I'll end off with a shayla. That's the halacha. Halacha is if you separate it, this is a big eitzah for toys. You have a big pile of the menchies and the magnetiles and the kinder menchies and the maisa. It's not a shidduch. You want to put them away in your OCD different boxes so that next time the kids can make a mess again. Beautiful. Or because they fit better in the boxes. Yeah, that's what they say. But either way, the bottom line is if you take that pile and you just spread it out across the floor, then it's perfect. Then you could pick up each one you want. The shayla I'll end with is I have this whole pile of cutlery, forks, knives, spoons, the whole 9 yards. What if I take it and I drop them across the whole table like this? And then I end that I have a line of cutlery that's not mixed. Is that the same thing? That's the same thing. The Gemara says you take your basket of fruit and you throw it out. So there are many. I think Rafalk famously, I think he says over here that you're just doing it in slow motion. It doesn't work. There has to be an act of whatever. Something to think about. But that is the heter. Those are your 3 conditions. We're playing with fire. We're playing with the araisa. You need to have a tarayvis to start. And the next footnote is your homework. It's a full page. This will be your Einig Shabbos to try to figure out what's going on over there. But in that footnote is where he says the famous Shemiras Shabbos, that if you have a matzo ball in your soup, are you allowed to take out the matzo ball? Matzo ball in your soup? Why can't I take out the matzo ball? Well, you don't want the matzo ball. It's a tarayvis. Is your matzo ball a tarayvis with your soup? Is your pickle a tarayvis with the brine? Is the carrot a tarayvis with your gefilte fish? Hatzlacha ubra.